A very good morning to all our dear panelists and our participants. Sorry to keep you waiting, but we are finally starting with the program now. So I, Manika Malhotra, on behalf of Policy Perspectives Foundation and National Institute of Disaster Management, have the pleasure to welcome you all to the 3 days online content orientation training program on child-centric disaster risk reduction. Now, this 3 days COT program is intended for trainers, teachers, professors, faculties of state level universities, colleges, schools, administrative training institutions, and civil society trainers to help build their knowledge, skills, and perspectives towards child centric disaster risk reduction. This course has 2 modules and shall cover the broad subjects of disaster and its impact on children and CCDR, that is Child Centric Disaster Risk Reduction. Now, by the end of these 3 days COT program, we hope and believe that the participants would have strengthened their understanding about risk informed planning, sectoral readiness, and preparedness for emergencies so as children are not deprived of any basic amenities. Now, I will quickly take a few minutes to share the schedule of these 3 days training program. We have 2 technical sessions scheduled for each day, which sums up to 6 key sessions in total. Every session will be succeeded by a question answer session. Participants can share their questions in the question answer box visible on their screen, which will be taken up post session. So we hope that the participants make the most out of this opportunity and we look forward to your active participation. I would also request you all to kindly register yourself for the course if you haven't done so far. We have shared the registration link in the chat box and also the steps to register for your ready reference. So you can refer to it and we'll also share it again. If in case you still face any difficulty, you can kindly share your query in the chat box and we will get back to you. I would like to remind our participants that online registration to the course as well as 80% attendance is required for all the 3 days to obtain a successful participation certificate. And if there is any other question, you can always reach out to us in the chat box and we will get back to you soon.
किसने भेजा है आपको सर? ठीक है, ओके सर, मैं अभी आपको लेटेस्ट भेज देता हूँ, जस्ट 1 मिनट. ओके सर, अभी हम वेटिंग. Thank you, Monica. Please continue that. Yeah, please continue with.
Yes, sir. So we at present, I would like to inform our participants that we are presently waiting from Professor Santosh Kumar to join in, and he will kindly present his opening remarks. And soon after that, we are going to start with our program. So we'll wait for a few more minutes until he joins in. So we respect and appreciate the patience of our participants, and we request your cooperation. Thank you.
Monica, you can keep Monica, you can keep talking to the participants about the program, different classes, and I'll take over just within 5 minutes. Don't worry.
It will be great if our participants could share some of their observations or what they're looking forward from this course in the chat box, so we can also know what your interest areas are. So it will be great if we all could interact for some time in the chat box itself.
Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you perfectly. All right, sir. You are exactly at the right time, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Again, your voice is gone, I think, sir.
Yes, sir. There's some severe network issues today, I guess, probably because of the weather or something. Everyone is facing some network. So we are actually looking forward to some comments from our participants in the chat box. It will be great if you guys can share.
So thank you very much, Monica. And let me start with the program on behalf of National Institute of Disaster Management and Policy Perspectives Foundation. I welcome all of you in this 3 days training program. And this is like Dr. Monica told you that this is a program of disaster risk reduction, but specifically focused towards vulnerability of children in the area. And due to some technical problems, the dignitaries are still joining, and we are working hard over it. But you know, the technology is like this only, and we have to bear with that. And immediately after that, they will be joining. You will hear their experienced speech, in which the actual requirement of CCDR, why CCDR is important, how we have developed it, and where we are striving for, that everything will come in front of you. But let me tell you a few points till the time. See, CCDR, all of us know that it's child-centric disaster risk reduction. And why CCDR actually? You will be amazed to know that India is having almost 55 to 57 crore child population when we are talking about children. And children are actually age group of people 0 to 18 years. And the 0 to 18 years of children age group, every age group actually are having different type of needs, different type of requirements. We can't expect that whatever the needs and requirements of a 16 or 17 or 18-year-old child is, the child of age 4, 5, or 6 or below that will be having similar needs and requirements. So that's a challenging scenario also, because age group of children, as per international commitments and as per our POCSO Act, which recently derived from, which was actually recently, uh, it's 0 to 18 years. But different IPC acts of our country are having different age groups of children. So this is one major challenge where actually we are facing the problem of defining children in the Indian context. But now it's much more clear that, okay, when the child is into the womb till the age of 18 years, he is considered as a child, the first thing. And along with that, we all have to always remember that this age group is quite a large age group, and different type of children are having different needs and requirements. Vis-a-vis, now talk about the DRR. Why DRR? Disasters. Whenever any disasters strike, children are the one most vulnerable group who are into the most adverse conditions when any response action is taking place, and or thereafter any recovery, rehabilitation, and etc. processes. And along with that also, see, disaster management is a cycle, and before that, before response, we are also into the preparedness phase. And we often neglect the needs and requirements and voices of children when we are planning as well. So considering all these things, considering all the aspects, Nations agency UNICEF came up with a plan to set up a child-centric disaster risk reduction specifically to read, analyze, and work on the vulnerability of children. Connection is also showing. Ranjanji, can you come fast? Ranjanji, can you fast here? I'll take just a second. Meanwhile, continue, because my internet connection is also showing it's gone.
No problem, sir. I'll take over from here. No problem.
लगाओ यहीं पे, कहीं पे चार्ज में लगाओ, अंदर ले जाओगे तो फिर वो पकड़ना मुश्किल हो जाएगा उसको। Anyway, so meanwhile, I think I'm audible, Manika.
Yes, sir, you're audible now. I guess there's some connective issues. So your voice is breaking in between.
Yeah, okay. So meanwhile, I'm continuing and
Right.
yeah, actually, just a minute.
Dr. Raka, am I audible to you? Hello? No, I guess he is facing some connectivity issues. I would like to inform our participants that Professor Kumar would join in another 2 to 5 minutes, and then we'd soon start and begin with our sessions. Dr.
Actually,
Raka has joined back. Yes, sir.
actually, can you hear me now perfectly?
Yes, sir. It's slightly better than before, so I hope that sustains.
Meanwhile, they are also trying for the internet connection, and let us continue. I have joined with my mobile actually on the
Okay, okay.
hotspot.
Oh,
I was talking about the DRR and the needs of the children actually. See, when any disaster strike, and after that, the most vulnerable group is children. You know why? Because there are a lot of reasons. Because of this diverse age groups, diversity in the different age groups, many younger children, smaller children are not able to convey their message. What are their needs actually? What are their requirements? What is their mental health condition? What are their psychosocial conditions? So until unless they communicate and establish a communication with the response agencies or the planning agencies, it's really very difficult to understand what is the need of the hour. Okay, so this provides us a challenge, and also you will be surprised to know or understand that many times children are communicating, but as a parent, as a caretaker, we also ignore listening them. That also constitute a problem, because we think that okay, this is a child, what is the problem? He's not mature enough, he can't tell us the right thing, and that is another problem. Why? Because this is our some socio-cultural which gives us a platform or a stage where we think that listening children is not very important, not much important, and we often used to neglect their voice. But you know that children are the best communicators. They always tell their facts, the truths. And until unless we will listen them perfectly, the problem will be there. Suppose that giving you an example of COVID-19. COVID-19 was we all experienced it now. So whenever I'm talking, I use COVID-19, and children and COVID-19 has a very intrinsic and very with after spread of COVID-19, the schools, the universities and went to a lockdown and closed situation. What has happened after that? Child, I'm talking about a normal child, okay? From a middle class family and who was attending a school, and all of a sudden schools were closed, the entire routine was disturbed, everyone was home. Uh, it's a complete changeover situation for him or her.
वो नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम थोड़ा। मोनिका मेरी वॉइस सुनाई दे रही है? हेलो। मोन हेलो। हेलो।
Yes,
हेलो।
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible. Hello. Hello.
हेलो। आवाज आ रही है मोनिका?
सर ब्रेक हो रही है बीच में एक्चुअली। अभी अभी आ रही है बट आप विजिबल नहीं है। बट दैट इज फाइन बिकॉज आई थिंक अगर आप वीडियो ऑन रखेंगे तो बैंडविड्थ ज्यादा लो रहेगा।
ओके, मैं राटा सर
सो
को बोलता
सिर्फ
हूँ।
हाँ सिर्फ और
Can you hear me now here from here? And I can see James
yes
are
sir,
also has
it's
joined.
much better now sir, it's much better.
Yes,
Right.
I'm extremely sorry for internet connectivity
Sir,
issue
it's
from
fine.
all
It's
of our
not in
end.
our hands.
Uh,
It's okay.
but sir, Kim sir, if you kindly allow me so that I can finish up in next 5 minutes and thereafter we will invite you for the inaugural speech, sir. Kim sir is also again we can't hear you, sir.
Okay. He's there, but so you may please continue. I'll
Okay,
stay in touch
that's
with
fine.
him.
So again, once again, I'm sorry. Let me close my door actually. So, why is it going? So, thank you. So actually, you know that I was talking about COVID-19 and how the children during COVID-19 was affected adversely. And This is one of the most vulnerable group who was adversely affected by COVID-19. You know why? I was telling that schools were closed, and when schools were closed, an entire routine of the children along with continuity of education initially was disrupted. And what has happened thereafter, immediately thereafter, since the closure went into a longer duration, बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम के लिए schools बंद हो गए, then younger children started having problem of retaining those things which they had learned previously. Okay, suppose that it's a class 6 or 7 kid, and what he had learned into the next previous classes, class 4 or 5, since closure is going on and there is no continuity of education, then they started losing what they had learned previously. And that was again a very major problem, again a major problem. Along with that, if you just focus on another thing like that, uh, India is a diverse country. There are a lot of diversities in our countries, and people are having different socio-economic background. And when we talk about economically poor class or economically poor section of the society, then what happened because of these school closures, children started losing one-day meal, one-time nutritional meal that is called midday meals. Midday meals were having a very adverse impact on the growth and development of children. One startling fact is that India is second largest country in the world who is providing midday meal to socially and economically backward class children. And that is massive. If we think in terms of midday meals and all of the school closures for 1 year and after that 1.5 years and still it's continuing, then all those children who were getting one-time nutritional meal was devoid of it. And as a result, what happened, what will happen, you know, when the children are into the age of growth and development, and at that time the nutritional meal is not available for them, that is also one time, then that is going to make again an adverse impact on their health conditions. And once the health conditions of the child is compromised, the entire personality development, entire growth, entire development is not there. Because see, the age of growth and development requires a lot of inclusive things. On the on the one hand, the closure of schools, the continuity of education is disrupted, and at the other hand, for socially economically backward class children, the nutritional meal is also stopped. And believe that and think that something that when a child is into the developmental age, and at that time when the nutritional meal is not available to him or her, the impact will be lifelong. Someone will be suffering from malnutrition, wasting. We used to say when the weight is actually less than the height, then it's wasting, and stunting is another malnutrition case. And if that happens, then in future, the entire health infrastructure of the country will be overwhelmed. And once the entire health infrastructure of the country is overwhelmed, where it will be translated? It will be translated to all of us. Because as per Sendai framework, as per Honorable Prime Minister's agenda, no one has to be left behind. That is what they used to talk about when they are talking about DRR. And these are just few examples. Now coming to the next one. What will happen? Schools are reopening everywhere, and most of the parents are actually not very, I mean to say, comfortable sending their child to school. But they are also facing a lot of stress that my child is not going to school. These two things actually, where to make a balance, how to make a balance. Sending the school is one thing, not sending the, I'm not prepared to send my kid to school is another thing, because there are logics, there are reasons behind it. If my child is not going to school, so that he is not continuing with the education, and the whatever he or she has learned previously, that is also being lost. So that is one tension to me. And another tension to me, that vaccination for child is still not here, and wherever schools are reopening, then kids and children and teachers and staffs are also getting infected. Then what I have to do? I'm into a dilemma. I don't have an answer for it. And that is the situation right now all over the world parents are facing. And this is really something very, very a big dilemma actually in front of us. What we have to do, we don't know. And whenever I am having personal conversations also along with parents, teachers, or relatives, or friends, uh, I used to find that they want that their kids should go to school, but because of safety and security concerns, they are also panicked. If they are going and something happened, then the blame will be on me. And that is actually happening in the country as well. Wherever schools are reopening and parents start sending their kids to school, and all of a sudden you see that this particular school or this particular institute, uh, a lot of COVID-19 cases has come. And now you all of you know that Omicron, the new variant of coronavirus, is here. And also the as if parents have taken the vaccination, if they are vaccinated, whether it is Covishield or Covaxin, then now the new concern is that on Omicron virus, those vaccines are not so much effective. Scientific community is still finding it very hard to provide us with the efficacy of those vaccinations. So what to do? And the fear is here that children who were going to school, now we were planning that they will again start, vaccination will be here and they will be protected and they will start learning the things. Now that has also been diluted. Schools are reopening, Omicron is here, the new virus is here, vaccination is still in the trial phase for the children. Lot of uncertainties actually. Lot of uncertainties. What to do, what we don't have to do. We are not aware. And this is not only fear of parents, these are the fears of I mean to say school staff, school management as well. You must have came across the news papers clippings and news articles that in Karnataka, Dharwad Medical College or something in Odisha also, in Chandigarh also, schools reopened, in Andhra Pradesh also. After reopening, there were certain cases of COVID-19 found. So actually, where is safety and security? So see, the purpose of talking this COVID-19, safety and security of children, and where we are standing, what are our observations, we are not able to make any decision. That is not only true for COVID-19. That is actually true for all of other type of disasters. If a flooding situation occurs in a particular region, everyone is evacuated from there, right? And after evacuation, either it's flood, tsunami, cyclone, whatever example you can understand, after evacuation, they are shifted to other safer places, right? Safer places means to say that the threat of that particular flooding or cyclone or tsunami is not there. But is the safer places are having inclusive facilities for proper growth, development, and continuity of education for the children? No, it's not there. Now I think Professor Santosh has actually joined. So, sir, we were waiting for you, and we are still waiting for Came, sir. Sir, you are muted. If you can unmute yourself, Santosh, sir. रंजन जी जस्ट एक बार चेक कर लीजिएगा, संतोष सर अनम्यूट हो जाए तो मुझे बताइएगा. मीनवाइल आई एम कंटिन्यूइंग विद द थिंग. प्रोफेसर संतोष सर, आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए एक्चुअली.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me first introduce you, sir. Actually,
No, introduction. Don't waste
Sir,
time in introduction. I will introduce.
Not just for introduction,
Okay.
sir. Let me Yeah, because of
After 40 minutes, I could get into, so go ahead.
Okay,
okay,
so
sir.
without any more time, I would now welcome you and request Professor Kumar, Professor in HOD Governance, Inclusive Disaster Risk Reduction NIDM, to kindly present his opening remarks. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
First, my sincere apology that due to technical thing, I could not get into well in time.
No problem.
So my sincere apology for this to all of you, the PPF, Shrikant Singh sir, and the delegates who have joined and my team. I will not say much at this point of time because proceedings are already in progress. And so I have to add only 2 points and I will close. One, that work, which we talk about is that the important thing which we talk about is this, that how we can talk about inclusiveness, number one, whether children are included in the whole of our development planning, whole of the disaster risk reduction planning, because they have to live in the world which we are, which is being shaped by us, like adults and aged old persons. Those who have to actually live in the this world, they are not in the frame of planning and all. So they are not aware what kind of a world, what they want and what we are providing. That could be a serious gap between the two. So this is one point, that how child-centric DRR is important. Engaging children in the this is when we talk about COVID-19, and one point which we use is isolation. Isolation, everybody prescribe, the moment you get affected, put in the isolation. We need to unfold what is isolation. So isolation for 0 to 5 years children would be different than isolation for 5 to 10 years of children. 10 to 18 youth would be different. So this isolation will not fit to all size and go into a kind of a treatment. And isolation is not as a kind of the word which we normally use it. After learning from that true COVID, we can very well understand that how that COVID can, this COVID treatment and isolation for the children specific isolation can be designed. If we have not seen earlier and we do not have solution, we have to find out the solution. We can't, if we can make rocket and missiles, we have to also find out the solution for the isolation. We guess kind of a treatment we cannot provide. So this is the challenge of the child-centric DRR. So the third thing is which we say as a kind of a, if they are in isolation the way we want, and also that what kind of a care which they are into. And we say that man is a social animal. Are we really social when we do this isolation, where we require more of a human touch, and they're not even in the constant dialogue with the family members. So there we need to understand that if we are isolating people or children, that what kind of a counseling which or the touch we are providing them during the disease. But this is the second point, as a kind of a new dimension which it has given to us. The third thing which I would like to mention here, that other than COVID-19 also, that in the larger disasters perspective, we cyclonic storm, we have flooding with urban heat, or that thunderstorm, how children can be protected during these new emerging challenges. Like urban heat island is coming as a big way, as a quantified manner. In the cities itself, that says that city itself generates a lot of heat. And that is leading to a kind of a heat wave in the city. And in India, also large number of people and children are dying because of the heat wave. So how that children can be protected when we talk about heat wave. And then the thunderstorm, which we say that children are very lively and they go for play and all, and when it rains, they enjoy the rains. But how those children can be protected against the lightning and thunderstorm. So there is a new dimension which got added. So other than all the conventional classical disaster risk management and engagement of children, I would just flag these three things at this moment. And I would stop here that how the child-centric DRR can discuss these three issues in the context of pandemic, climate change, and other disaster. And I would take this opportunity to welcome Sri Kem Singh ji sir. The way he has handled disaster risk management in the country, and as I would urge him also to guide us a child-centric disaster response system. That how child-centric disaster response system could be. That NDRF has been given large number of instances where they have protected, but is that enough, or we still need to look at differently? So, Sir's contribution is immense in the sector of disaster management, and especially the angel in the orange is the creation of his mind. So I would welcome him at the platform of National Institute of Disaster Management on behalf of NIDM, on behalf of General Bengal, and my own personal behalf and my team from NIDM, CCDR, for this particular event. When we say as a disaster risk management, is a challenge for future. So I welcome our who are given this opportunity. Solution, and they are now
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Uh, Professor Kumar has actually set the tone for the program and has enlightened our participants. I would now like to request Sri KM Singh sir, but I would just see if he, because he is also facing connectivities issues. He has got disconnected again. So just a second. Let us connect with him.
So, no problem. Once again, I would like to thank you, Professor Kumar. And sir, actually, what 3 points you have given, we were actually discussing over it. And certainly, this started with a bumpy ride, like this program, because of internet connectivity issue at
Sir,
all
KM
of
sir
us
is
ends.
trying to connect again with us. So अब 1-2 सेकंड लगेगा उनको वापस आने में.
Meanwhile, I'm just interacting with Professor Santosh and the participants as well. So अभी हो क्या रहा है कि प्रोफेसर संतोष कहीं किसी और जगह से ज्वाइन किया उन्होंने, केम सर कहीं और से ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, पूजा और मनिका कहीं और हैं, मैं कहीं और बैठा हुआ हूँ साउथ इंडिया में, बट थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम अभी हुआ है जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी इश्यूज एट ऑल ऑफ आवर एंड्स, बट वेरी सून everyone is working over it and we will improve in next few minutes. And जैसा सर ने बोला, actually संतोष सर ने, कि CCDRR is the need of the hour. We have to understand it not only in terms of previous disasters, and COVID-19 has given a new insights actually. What type of problems children are actually facing here? That is what he stressed on. And sir, actually it's response, and we have to be very inclusive into child-centric response. It's not a general response. When we are talking about children, when they are into the womb, we start considering them as a child until the age of 18 years with a large that age group diversification in the age group, as well as regional, linguistic, cultural diversities of socio-economic also of the country. It's a huge task. And unless very focused, uh, proactive efforts are being made for child-centric DRR management, including the response, it will be very, very difficult to properly nurture the future citizens of this country. And they are not only future we are always telling, but they are present as well, because Professor Santosh always used to tell that the child who is 16, 17 or 18 years of age, as per international conventions and Indian understanding as well, the next year or the next to next year, he is going to be translated into an adult and a citizen of this country. And nurturing those who are going to be transformed into a citizen next year or within 1 year or after 5 years, it's a very important task. And that is why the CCDRR Center is actually focusing on child inclusive, child-centered DRR issues. And here we will be talking throughout this in the coming 3 days on different issues. It's whether it's child rights or the disaster impact on the children, school safety, safe reopening of schools, or the basic concepts of disaster management, or even the COVID protocols when we are following it in terms of general things, like then how we have to be child-centric into that also, COVID appropriate behavior, do's and do nots. That also we'll discuss in a focused manner that will be reflecting children's issues. So along with that, Professor Santosh, if you kindly allow us, so then we would like to move towards the technical sessions. And meanwhile, I'm also waiting for Ken Singh sir, if and then
Please go ahead.
anytime.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. If Kem Singh sir is also having some internet connectivity issue at his end, but whenever he'll be joining, then we will immediately invite him for his keynote address. Sir. So, Manika.
Right, so we are trying to connect with him, and meanwhile, we should move forward with the technical sessions for the day. As soon as he joins in, we'll get back to him. So I thank you very much, Dr. Kumar Raka. You've already sort of set the tone for the program and have discussed a variety of crucial issues about the subject. Now, I did not get an opportunity to introduce and welcome Dr. Raka, so I'll take a minute for that as well. So the first 2 sessions for the day is by Dr. Kumar Raka, who is a social scientist and reputed disaster management professional with more than 12 years of professional experience in disaster management. He is presently working as program officer with NIDM and is proactively engaged in establishing child-centric disaster risk reduction.
That's enough of me. That's fine.
Yes, that's all I had to sort of introduce about. So now I would like to hand over the platform to Dr. Raka and would request him to begin with the first technical session on do's and don'ts of COVID-19. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
And all the participants, two of my gurus are here. Professor Santosh Kumar is also my guru, and Professor Kem Singh sir is also my another guru. So I'm not comfortable being introduced actually in front of them. And just a learner in the field of PR, and I'll always be throughout my life. And every day I'm learning a few new things, and that is I'm trying to translate how we can do best for the society and the system. That is our actually endeavor. And along with that, let's start with today's first session. And all of you know that Omicron variant of COVID-19 is on our head. And that has been a matter of concern for all of us, because we have seen what COVID-19 variants can do to the nation. During the first wave, during the second wave, we have learned a lot of experiences. And if we want that the third wave, so-called third wave or the new variant of Omicron, it's not too much adversely impacting, then we have to be very, very careful, very towards following the appropriate behavior of COVID-19. And that is three things. If we continue, if we focused on, if we are strictly following these three things, the third wave can be saved. If not, today I was reading the newspaper, and one of the researcher from Oxford University is predicting that this variant will be much more fatal than previous variants of COVID-19. And if we want that, then what is the situation going on is in front of all of us. If we want to protect the country, if you want to protect us, if you want to protect our families, if we don't want to go again into the lockdowns, closures, adversities, then this session is very important. So let's start with that. If you kindly allow me to share my screen on the coordinators.
Yes, sir. So
I
there will
can
be
come
this
up.
option, share screen option available on your screen.
Yeah, only host all panelists who can share. Okay. Who can share? What can start sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now I'm able to share my screen. So let's start with that. And Monica, can you tell
Yes,
me
sir.
now my screen?
Right,
Yeah.
so the PPT is visible now.
Perfectly all right.
Right, sir.
And this is do's and do nots, and you can say that that is what we say COVID appropriate behavior. And after learning from last two waves of COVID-19, we all know it. But what is new with it? Why we are discussing it again? Because I'm going to discuss the logics behind all those do's and do nots, which is very important to understand if you want to break the chain of COVID-19. Okay. So we all hear that wearing of mask is very important. Social distancing is very important, and hand washing is another important tool. These three tools we are fighting with COVID-19, and we have successfully fought actually. But what are the actual logics behind that? That is very important to understand. Before that, I'll be giving you a little bit background about it. And whatever is coming to your screen, just go through it. I'll not be reading the entire screen or all the things. But here you have to understand the timeline of spread of COVID-19. That is important. And you see that December 2019 almost last, a far away place that is Wuhan province of China, the first case of COVID-19 was detected into a 55-year-old man, or you can say that not so old, 55 year is okay. And from there, December, see the timelines you have to be very careful about. The just immediately, almost after 2 months, 1st December and 30th January 2020, the first month, almost last date. The first case in India was reported in state of Kerala. You can understand 2 months, where is Wuhan province of China and where is Kerala state of India? Miles of distance is there, but it arrived here. And thereafter, if you remember exactly, just within 2 months, March, we started precautionary lockdowns for one day that we all observed. And a few days after that, the entire country went into the lockdown. So these timelines are here just to let you imagine what is the spread and contagiousness of this virus. The spread and contagiousness of this virus is so that by February, March, entire world went into the lockdown. A virus originated from a particular region and it spread throughout the world. India was not an exception. And thereafter, the people of all ages, whether it's children or youngs or the adults or the senior citizens or the women or the whatever their caste, color, creed, doesn't matter. Every human being was a host for this virus. Doesn't matter what socioeconomic condition or what regional affiliation or what linguistic affiliation he or she was having. The virus was needing just a host. And after first wave, second wave, the entire world saw that what this virus can do, how devastating it is. The situation within our country also during the second was very conducive. It was not so good. The health infrastructure, the policy makers, the first responders, everyone was overwhelmed. And now even after that, after experiencing the first wave of COVID-19 or the second wave of COVID-19, the masses of how to defeat COVID-19, how to break the chain of it, is still far away, reaching at the very, very grassroots level. You know why? Even right now, you can see whenever you are visiting a public place, many people are not wearing a mask. Many people not very particular about hand sanitization. I mean to say, washing their hands with soap and water. Social distancing is another distant dream at many public places. You can observe as of now. So we can't say that for we humans, this virus didn't give us enough time how we have to develop our response strategies, how we have to understand what we have to do, what we don't have to do. This virus has given us enough time. And even if, as of now, if we are not doing that, then certainly the situation will be again out of hand. Not only that, as of today, government data, almost 95,000 people are infected with COVID-19. Almost 4.73 lakh people have lost their lives because of COVID-19. The data is massive. This is I'm telling you that till now active cases, only active cases. And you can see that people who have recovered from COVID-19, that has been a boom for India. Otherwise, situation has been like an apocalypse. Almost 3.40 million people was infected and recovered. One good thing what has happened, vaccination. All of us know that India is almost a population of 1.37 or 1.38 billion people as of now. And out of that, almost 1.28 billion people have been vaccinated, at least with the single dose. And this Omicron variant, now they are telling that it's not the previous vaccination, either it's Covaxin or Covishield, which was very prominent in our country, is not so much effective with that virus. Now, what to do? It's not like that vaccines were down. There are still. You don't think that all the variants are gone and this new variant will be here. No, previous variants are also here, whether it's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, blah, blah, blah. There have been at least tens of variants of COVID-19 till now. This vaccine is effective against all those. Only the concern is this new variant. And scientists are working day and night for that. Cases has gone down, no doubt. In previous months, previous weeks, the cases has gone all time down. Almost 6,800 cases last 24 hours has been reported in our country. But if you just look at the data of deaths from COVID-19, that has not gone to a drastic reduction after the second wave. Still every day at least 200, 250, 300, 400 people are dying every 24 hours. That is a matter of concern. Why that is a matter of concern? Because somehow they converted into the severe conditions of COVID-19. We will be discussing that in the coming slides, but just to ignite your mind, cases has gone down, but death rates still a matter of concern. Now the first thing, like I talked that why this number of deaths has not been reduced drastically because of the severe cases, and how severe cases are, how a mild case or a COVID-19 infection translates or becomes a severe case because of our ignorance. COVID-19 doesn't have any unique or any type of new thing that we haven't experienced previously when we are talking about symptoms. Symptoms are very similar, and whether it's cough, sore throat, fever, muscle pain, chills, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, loss of taste or smell, headaches, diarrhea, etc., etc. These all things we experience whenever weather is changing, whenever normal cough and cold caught us. There is nothing new with COVID-19, and that is the major dilemma here. We ignore, okay, the weather is changing, that is why I'm feeling it. And we start with the self-medication. We don't consult doctor. We start waiting that it will go away. And we don't know whether these symptoms occur because of changing weather situation or this is because of COVID-19. And here the dilution starts. And the more days passes, virus has already entered our body, and that has started multiplying. We are thinking that, okay, the weather is changing, so I have to go with the normal medication. And we don't know that we have just infected with the virus, and this particular medication will not work with the virus, and we keep waiting for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and meanwhile the virus is multiplying. The normal case of COVID-19 becomes a severe case because of our ignorance. So here the message is quite clear what I want to convey to you, that don't ignore the symptoms of COVID-19, whatever it is. Just immediately talk to your doctor. It's not necessary that you visit the doctor, you go to the clinic, you go to hospital. You can always talk to your doctor over the phone, and you can tell your symptoms, whatever symptoms you are feeling, and see medical practitioners. Doctors are the best person. They will provide you a certain type of medication for certain time. And if your situation is not improving immediately, they will suggest you to go for the COVID-19 testing. And if the time is lost in between that, then a normal case of COVID-19 becomes a severe case. So this is one very important thing we all have to understand, and we all have to disseminate to everyone, that if we are facing any type of symptoms, we can't differentiate. COVID-19 has not something new. We don't have to ignore it. We have to talk to our doctors immediately, never with the self-medication, no with the Google medication, and don't ignore. No ignorance. After symptoms, the second few important things are there, and we will be discussing it one after another. Washing our hands. You know, hands are the culprit over 90% of the time when we are being infected with COVID-19. Hands are the culprit. I'll be discussing it later on why the hands are culprit, why the hands are most responsible. Uh, but before that, you just understand washing our hand either with soap and water. If that's available, the first priority give to that. If not available, then go with the alcohol-based sanitizer. Covering our nose, mouth while sneezing or coughing is very, very important. But again, if you are covering your nose and mouth like this is a wrong practice. No, if you are having a napkin, tissue paper, hanky, or any piece of cloth, that is better. If you are having nothing, then go with that. Okay, go with that. Not this. This is wrong practice, and this is not included into the hand hygiene, and this is actually helpful spreading COVID-19 or other type of flus. I'll tell you the logic. Every logic will be there. It's not like that you have to do this. Why you have to do this, I'll be explaining you. And whenever we are using any napkin, tissue paper, or anything like that, while sneezing or coughing, then we always have to throw it into the closed bins, not into the open space. Doctors, we already talked about, whenever any symptoms occurring, we don't have to ignore, we have to talk to our doctors. And with detection of a new variant that is called Omicron, again, we have to avoid large gatherings in whatever manner possible. If you are going into a public place, you have to avoid it until unless it's very, very necessary. And even if it's very necessary, then you have to go with proper precautions. And social events, cultural events, etc., everything has to be avoided. Whatever conditions are generating large number of gathering at your house or at any other place, we have to avoid that. Do nots are also very simple. Whoever is experiencing cough, cold, or fever, and if the person is unknown to you or known to you, doesn't matter. If you think that someone is experiencing that, don't go into the close contact with them. Maintain at least 1 meter of distance between the two along with the mask. Now, the thing I told you that hands are the culprit. Okay. And now the another thing is in front of you. Don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth. The fact here is that a normal individual being, knowingly or unknowingly, they used to touch their eyes, nose, and mouth almost 50 to 250 times within an hour. The younger the age group, the frequency is more. You will find this frequency more and more frequent in child. But again, that depends on a lot of other factors, personalities, gender, etc. And unknowingly, we used to touch at least 50 to 250 times the area above our neck. And once these hands are infected with COVID-19, whatever we are experiencing or touching, hands are the first thing. If you are into a public place, bus, car, toilet, anywhere you are going, opening a door, closing a door, your hands are there. You don't know that particular area is infected with COVID-19 virus or not. Once hands are infected and unknowingly you start touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, and from where the virus gets the passage to enter our body. Hands are the culprit. And that is why hand washing is very, very important. Unknowingly, we are touching the things because without hands, we can't experience all the things. Most of the things are experienced by hand. Hands are infected, they are unknowingly going to eyes, nose, and mouth, and the virus getting the passage to enter the body. So if you understand this little technicality, then you can always be very, very observant that if the hands are culprit, then I have to be very careful. If I am touching something, then immediately I have to wash my hand with soap and water or sanitizer. And also I have to avoid touching my eyes, nose, and mouth frequently. Spitting in public is another nonsense. It was never a public sense. It was never a good thing. And during COVID-19, it's a big, big no. When we are spitting or even speaking very loudly without mask, there are very tiny aerosols getting out of our mouth. And if I am infected with COVID-19, then I'm spreading COVID-19 virus to others. So spitting in public was never a sense, not never a good sense, and we have to always avoid it. And in times of COVID-19 or any other type of viral spread, these things always spread the virus. So that has to be stopped. Three, four things. After discussing three, four things, we have to ask ourselves whether we are doing this or not. Washing our hands properly, frequently, yes or no. Even whenever coughing, sneezing, then we are covering our nose or mouth or not. And if we are covering our nose and mouth, then properly or not. Maintaining social distancing with unknown persons or whoever is experiencing cough or cold or not. If any symptoms are arising in our body, if we are feeling that, experiencing that, then immediately we are consulting our doctor or not. If not, then we are not following COVID appropriate behavior. We have to do it. Otherwise, second wave, first wave, we all have experienced, and this new variant is much, much more rapid than in spread compared to its previous versions. So just if we are doing it fine, we have to do it more strictly. If we are not doing it, start doing it today onwards if you don't want lockdowns and closures and massive adversity in the country. Now, the another important thing, the three, four important things I would discuss here. Like I told you that I'm going to provide you with the logic why these things are very, very important. Face mask, everyone knows that face mask is protecting us, but why face mask? What is the reason? Simply, you can relate the wearing of face mask with drinking water. That is another necessity of our life. Water we need to drink to survive. Similarly, we need air to breathe in. Air and water, two essential things which humans need each and every moment, each and every second, every day in order to survive. In terms of water, we are educated enough that if we are not drinking safe water, then we are going to fall sick. And for that, what we do? Most of us either ensure that we have installed an RO or water purification at our place, or whatever water is supplying for being supplied for drinking within our household, we made sure that that is safe for drinking. Because we know that immediately we drink unsafe water, we are going to fall sick. Some problem or the other problem will start occurring. Like RO or water filter gives you clean water to drink, safe water to drink. The same purpose is of mask. This mask gives you fresh air to breathe in and breathe out. So if we are thinking that, okay, water 4 times or 5 times in a day we are taking, and we always ensure that we are drinking safe water, not contaminated water. The breathe we are taking multiple times within minutes. How can we compromise with that? And maybe we can survive 1 or 2 times contaminated water, but a single breath, if not secured, may make you very, very sick if you are into a COVID-19 infected place, or if you are into the close proximity of a COVID-19 patient. No one is going to save. The virus needs single fraction of time to enter your inhaling system if masking is not properly made. There is no second chance. That is why masking is very, very important. One thing, fresh air to breathe in and breathe out. Number one, very, very important. The another thing is that having a mask and properly wearing a mask are quite two different things. And there are certain important things that we have to understand how we have to wear our mask properly. First, clean your hands, because if hands are contaminated or infected with virus, and with the same hand, if you are going to wear the mask will be infected, and it's not going to protect you. First thing, clean your hands. The second thing, let me show you that will be better. See, if I am going to wear the mask, the first thing I wash my hand. The second thing, I'll take the knots. Okay, I'm not touching the mask itself, and comfortably I just put it on my nose and mouth. Since I wear specs, so I'll just adjust it, and from the down I'll just adjust it here, and at the nose I'll adjust my nose clips. That's it. Okay, I didn't touch the mask entirely, and that also I did after washing the hand, not directly. Even when I'll be getting out of mask, I'll take the knots first, and before that also again I'll wash my hand, because if the hands are dirty, and if I'm I'm giving you an example, don't do it. If I'm taking the mask out from here, my mask is gone, I'm not no more safe, because my hands are contaminated with virus, and I'm here from where virus can enter immediately. So this is a wrong practice. What will be the best practice? I'll take this, okay, out and fine. And that is also after washing my hand. But what we used to see, that is again your screen. This is having a mask. This is not properly wearing a mask. And having a mask is not going to save you from COVID-19. If you are having RO and if you are drinking unsafe water, then your health is at risk. All these things are very common whenever we are visiting any public place. Because of lack of information, education, and logic, why this is important. Logic is very, very important. Once we understood the logic, now I'm aware that one fraction of time when my mouth or nose is open, my hands are contaminated, virus gets to enter. That already I told you that even before removing the mask, I have to wash my hands the first thing, and after that I'll take the knot. If that is one-time usable mask, okay, disposable surgical mask, after each usage I'll throw it into a closed bin. If that is this N95 mask, then I can use it again if I'm completely comfortable the mask itself has not been contaminated. Okay, both masks are quite safe for being protected with COVID-19 virus. So there is not a lot of difference between this surgical mask or N95 mask. It's comfortable. But if it's disposable, after usage, you dispose it. If it's reusable, then either make sure that the mask is not contaminated, not infected with the virus. And if you feel that something has done, then go for the washing the mask, cleaning the mask, or use another mask. Now, the important thing, again, logic here is very, very important. And I'll tell you the logic. Washing hand. Why washing hand with soap and water? Why so that? The first thing that hands are culprit, I told you. Once hands are infected here and there, going everywhere, and unknowingly I'm touching the area above my neck, and virus is getting more and more close proximation towards my inhaling air, going into my body. So hand was important, but any one of you can tell me in the chat box. I can see that what is the minimum amount of time? What is the minimum time we should wash our hands with soap and water? Start your answer so that I can see that how many of us know the exact thing. Minimum how many minutes or seconds it's important to wash our hand with soap and water if we want to kill COVID-19 virus. Neha has answered. Many more answers I'm waiting. Pius has answered. Fine. 20 minutes washing. Pius, you are writing 20 minutes washing hand. Oh my God. It's minutes or seconds. Sumitra also has answered. I'm waiting for more. 1 minute. Akriti has answered. 20 seconds. Pius now right. Okay. Not minutes. 20 minutes are, we can take entire hour into 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Any more answers? I think everyone on the platform or what? Isita has answered, right? Minimum how many minutes or seconds we need to wash our hand if we want to keep our hands safe from COVID-19 virus? That was the question. And many answers I have received. Now, Bandana has also answered. See, the safe timing is minimum safe timing is 20 seconds. Okay, most of you have given the right answer. Most of you have given the right answer. And like I told you that I'll explain the reason behind it, the logic behind it. Let me do that first, and after that, we'll continue. You can see this, okay? This is the shape of COVID-19 virus wrapped up under a protein layer, what we call spikes. Okay, I think it's visible to all of you. Protein spike wrapped up, and inside the COVID-19 virus, you think that whatever is blinking here, lights, it's like COVID-19. What happens? 20 seconds is comfortable time to destroy this protein spike actually with soap. If we are washing our hands soap and water, 20 seconds is sufficient and enough time that this protein spike will be destroyed. And once this protein spike is destroyed, the survival chances of COVID-19 inside it is minimized, absolute minimized. It can't survive. And that is why minimum 20-second washing our hand is very, very important. Maximum you can, depending on the situation and your thing, you can go up to 25 second, 30 second or 35 second, but more than that washing our hand is very, very difficult. And you know what is the right time of even brushing our teeth? That is 2 minutes. 2 minutes are more than enough if you want to wash our brush our teeth. Brushing the mouth, cleaning the mouth. Hardly 2 minutes if you are doing morning and evening brushing. That takes hardly 2 minutes. But not only 20 seconds, along with that, we have to aware of what we are cleaning it properly. And what do you mean by, we mean by cleaning properly? It means on the your screen, palm to palm, between the fingers, back of the hands, base of the thumb, back side of the fingers, fingernails until the wrist. And after that, I have to rinse. Rinse means पोंछना. Normally हिंदी में उसको कहते हैं कि we will rinse it, सुखा लेंगे उसको या पोंछ लेंगे सूखा होने तक, until it's quite dry. So 20 seconds, friends, very, very important. If you are using soap and water less than 20 seconds, then there are chances that this protein spike is actually not destroyed. And unless this protein spike is destroyed, the COVID-19 virus is not going to die. So remember that. I don't know what's the time as of now. Yes, I have time, so I can exemplify. Sorry, no, I don't have a lot of time. So another example also I can give you, but maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow we will be discussing, and I can relate because another session is also in the line. Now, the third important thing is social distancing. Social distancing is the key when we are talking about breaking the chain of COVID-19 virus. Because it has been observed that the virus of COVID-19 in an open air condition, okay, not, I don't mean to say air condition, in a situation where everything is into the open, like fresh sunlight, fresh air, there also COVID-19 virus can travel in the air up to 1 meter. In some cases, it has been observed that it can travel up to 1.5 meter in open space. I'm not talking about closed space. So whenever we are going into any public place, which is open space, always remember to maintain at least 1 meter of distance. Whatever public place it is, hospital, mall, market, restaurant, etc., blah, blah, blah. 1 meter. And if you are into a closed space, then try maintaining 2 meters of distance. And all that is also along with properly wearing of mask. And that is why all the things, you know, that during COVID-19 first wave, second wave, everything was closed, work from home, meetings were avoided, classes, schools were closed, everything was online. And now we have started reopening of the things, and if we don't follow COVID appropriate behavior very strictly, then things may go out of hand again and again. There are certain things which are very, very important. Social events like birth of a new child, newborn baby. We can't avoid that. Okay. Similarly, the death of a person, and after that, the last rites, we can't avoid that. We can't postpone it. In many communities or societies, marriages are another very important event, which people used to uh, think that that should not be avoided, that should not be postponed. All those social events also, when we are celebrating or observing, we have to identify that all COVID-19 appropriate behavior is at place, and along with that, we have to minimize guestings. Whatever place is available to us, we will invite guesting according to that. And during second wave, many state governments, as per the disaster management rules or the directives of the central government, has given a restriction on the number of guests. If a marriage is there or a last rite is there, how many guests will attend? But right now that has been a little bit relaxed. But Omicron is here, and again we have to be very, very sensitive about it. It has been observed that if a single person is infected, the entire guesting was, whoever is present there has been infected. In many marriages, there has been many news like this. And one more important thing when we are talking about social distancing, when you are into a closed space, whether it's an official setup or you are into a restaurant or into a hotel staying, just be extraordinary careful, because spread of COVID-19 virus, the travel of COVID-19 virus multiplies when into a closed space. Okay. And don'ts, what you don't have to do, you can go ahead on the screen and you can read it out. Avoid all those things where you can't maintain social distancing. Otherwise, fraction of second and infection is within. Now, till now, we were talking about how we have to secure ourselves, how we have to make ourselves safe. But suppose that after taking all precautions, even knowingly or unknowingly, we are infected, then what we have to do? There are two conditions after being infected. Either it's a mild situation of COVID-19, mild case of COVID-19, or it's a severe case of COVID-19. Again, remember that symptoms, identifying the symptoms immediately, talking to your doctor. The more delay in identification, the more the viral load, the more close proximity to the infected patient, the more viral load is inside. So the more the viral load, the more severe the case will be. So starting from there till here, if you are a severe case, then you have to be hospitalized into a medical setup. And there the doctors, paramedics, or the medical staff will be there to take care of you, and you don't have left to do, because already things are we didn't care, and that is why we became a severe case of COVID-19. It's a medical fraternity who will be taking care of us. But if that's a mild case, then you don't need to be hospitalized. Then you are advised to go with the quarantine. And what quarantine means, that is also another major problem. Quarantine doesn't mean that you have to stay in your home and have dinner or lunch or keep walking into the entire here drawing room, sleeping room or bedroom or here and there everywhere. No. What has happened previously, we have observed a single person in the family is infected. If he is quarantined or she is quarantined, the next few days entire family is infected. And this Omicron virus is much, much more contagious. So try to understand and spread the message. If into the family, you have to be quarantined. You are not free to roam in your entire house. The first thing. The second thing, find out a single room where toilets are attached. Okay. India is again a very diverse country, and everyone is not having the leverage or the opportunity to having attached toilet and washroom in their quarantine place. In that situation, if you are not having a separate toilet, then you have to make sure that after being used by the infected person, every time the toilet is properly cleaned and sanitized and disinfected before other members of the family can use it. See, toilets are one place where hand touching is very frequent. Either it's a flush or taps or नल होते हैं, फ्लैशेस होते, फ्लश होता है वो आपके वॉशरूम का, बाथरूम का डोर हो सकता है, डोर हैंडल्स हो सकते हैं. Everyone is touching that, and if the infected person has touched that, virus is there. If the healthy person is going to use the same toilet, maximum chances that the healthy persons in the family also will be getting infected. Next, very important thing, you don't have to be in a closed AC room when you are quarantined. Try to be into a well-ventilated room where proper sunlight and air is coming, because it has been evident that in proper sunlight and air ventilation, the survival duration of COVID-19 is minimized. The more the space is closed, the more survival hours for COVID-19. The same thing you have to be careful about the other important household items like keys, remotes, mobiles, laptops, which other family members are also using. When infected, try very hard that whatever common items, don't use it. And even if you are using it, before any other healthy person of your family is using the same item, make sure that is disinfected, sanitized, and cleaned. Otherwise, seconds, it will take seconds reaching the virus from one person to another person. Also try to, I already told, restrict movement and etc. things. Many times when we are sick, many friend or family members used to try to meet us. Avoid that. Talk over the phone, video conferencing, or the calls. And in case if someone is near to you who is taking care of you as well when you are infected, always maintain 2 meters of distance between the people. And now this mask, this surgical mask, I told you that when we are going out of your comfort zone, we have to wear it. But when I'm infected, I'm going to wear it 24/7. Even when I'm sleeping, I'll sleep with that. Without mask, not a single moment, not a single second. Otherwise, whenever I'm coughing or speaking loudly, I'm spreading virus. So once into the infection, the care has to be very, very strictly followed. And specifically when you are into the home quarantine. Otherwise, whoever will be meeting you, whoever is coming in contact with you, they are bound to be infected with COVID-19, and that has happened. Previous waves, we can't forget. And also, if you are having senior citizens, pregnant women, and young child within your house, stay away from them because they are vulnerable groups which may be infected with COVID-19 promptly. Always stay from them. So these were the quarantine tips. Now let's talk about a little bit about the children, since this is Ccdr. There is nothing extraordinary what we have to take care of when we are talking about children and COVID-19 and appropriate behavior and do's and do nots. The things are same, the three things: wearing of mask properly, maintaining social distancing, washing our hands, and fourth one, since hands are culprit, try not touching the area above our neck very frequently, until unless I am sure my hands are perfectly all right. Here I know that everything is sanitized, everything is fine, so I can go and touch it. But once out, once my hands are coming into unknown things, and after that I have to be very, very careful. The same things we have to, the same things are very, very important for children also. But like since the beginning, we are telling that the age group of the children is quite big, 0 years to 18 years. So the needs and requirements of the children is also very, very different. The what a 3-4-year-old kids needs and requirements are, that is different from the 16, 17 or 18 years old kid. So in that situation, let's divide, for the sake of an understanding here, let's divide kids into 3 age groups. Later on, the experts will be dealing on this life cycle approach actually, and there are certain divisions into that. But for sake of understanding here, only 3 groups for the children we will be dividing: dependent children, independent children, and semi-dependent or semi-independent, you can say. Independent are those children who can do their daily life routine work on their own without a lot of interference from their caretakers, like having food, doing homework, going to school or going to bed or going to toilet or washing their shoe ties. All these things they can do on their own. They don't need any other support. Though children are maybe 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, they can do their things on their own. You don't need to be worried about them a lot. Just you have to direct them what are the do's, what are the do nots, and what is the appropriate behavior. And many times, though children are so intelligent that they will come back to their caretakers, parents, and teachers. They will say that what are the updates, how we have to develop our understanding, how we have to develop our knowledge. Many times they will be actually updating you as well. So not a lot of concern. The second group is semi-dependent or semi-independent, you can say, and that is the age group of, you can say, 10 years or 12 years to 14 years or 15 years. They understand, they follow the direction of their parents, siblings, caretakers in the family, and teachers. But they used to forget the things normally until unless very well trained. For those age group, you have to be a little bit more observant. You have to keep a watch on them, that whether if they are washing, hand washing, if they are washing for 20 seconds or not. If not, then you can always develop the habit that whenever you are washing, it should be minimum 20 seconds. You can identify the creative ideas also, how you can engage for 20-second hand washing, or wearing the mask when a nose and mouth is entire covered. All these things you have to observe, and if you are finding any gaps, you have to fulfill that. But the major challenge when we are talking about dependent children are those children who can't do things on their own. The food, they are dependent on their mother, father, siblings. They, for sleep, they are dependent. For every daily life work, they are dependent on caretakers. In that situation, your responsibility multiplies as a caretaker, as a family member, or as a parent, or a brother or a sister, because that kid is not going to wear mask. You tell him 100 times that what is the proper way of wearing mask, but he can't wear it because he is not into that cognitive developmental age. He doesn't know, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the second. What is the second? If I'm losing my guard, if I'm taking my guard off within a second, I'll be infected. No. For those dependent children, you have to be extraordinarily careful. And that is where caretakers' responsibility multiplies. Rest every do's and do nots and appropriate behavior remains same: social distancing, masking, and washing our hands properly. This is the helpline number. There were a lot of helpline numbers on the previous slides as well. So we will be sharing the slides along with all of you, so that if you are needing any extraordinary information, or you can always contact on the helpline numbers. The last one, I would like to almost, I have taken a lot of time, and because of that technical difficulties, the session also started quite late. This alphabet I found somewhere on the internet, and I don't know who have created it. I tried to find out, but I couldn't find it. This is some way of learning the alphabet. Actually, we all know that how we learned alphabet when we were child. A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, D for dog. Every one of us remember that. Now, somewhere I found it very interesting in terms of COVID-19 or any type of viral spread, pandemic, etc. If we start teaching our children from the very young age alphabet in a manner that A for avoid crowding, B for beware fake news, C for clean your hands frequently, D for don't go out, etc., 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 then the do's and do nots both starts instilling into the child from a very young age, and that is inbuilt into the personality. So the preparation starts from a very young age, and that becomes part of the habit, the part of the personality. And like we all were overwhelmed when COVID-19 strike us, that we don't know what we have to do, what we don't know what we don't have to do, and all of a surprise, everything went into the closures and lockdowns. But if today children are being taught, being prepared on these lines, then certainly they will be much, much more future prepared, and resilient citizens. And I'll request all of you that wherever you find children who are into the age of alphabet learning, must share these things with them. And that is one way that where we can start the next generation, that uh, they are much more prepared fighting such sort of pandemics and viral diseases. That is very important. Thank you very much. And over to you, Manika. And next session will be taken by Ranjan ji on do's and do nots of basic
Sir,
concepts.
sir,
Manika,
I,
seems to speak now, then we can invite him for a few minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
सर अभी एकदम
Yes, sir, you're
परफेक्ट
audible.
पिक्चर
Yes.
भी आ रहा है.
It's already nearing 1 o'clock. So, can we postpone my inaugural session talk to tomorrow morning? Because I would like to talk for 15 minutes. And the time is already up, but I leave it to Dhaka to decide whether you want me to.
Sir, actually, what will be better, since there were a lot of technical difficulties when starting the session, and we are almost nearing the closer time of the session. So it will be better if you talk here for 10 to 15 minutes, and the next session, what we are going to conduct today, we can start with that tomorrow morning.
We can postpone it to tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
We can do
This
it.
is audio problem.
We are going.
So you want, Manika,
Yes, sir.
to talk today or tomorrow?
Sir, if you could present your inaugural address today, so we will postpone the session to tomorrow. So we'll have 3 sessions for tomorrow instead of 2. So you can take your
Yes.
time as of now, and you can speak for 10 to 15 minutes, as much as
Now.
convenient.
Now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now. Yes.
Okay. I'll do
जी
that.
सर.
Okay.
एक्चुअली सर सेशन अभी लेंगे तो कम से कम सर 30 मिनट तक सेशन जाएगा. अभी अगर स्टार्ट भी करेंगे तो एटलीस्ट 30 मिनट.
Your
So
audio
it
is
will
not
be
clear
better.
to me.
Session कल.
But is my audio clear to you?
Yes sir, perfectly
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
So then
Over
I'll
to
go
you,
ahead.
sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'll go ahead. Thank you very much. My apologies to all the participants, first of all, if I delay you a little further, because there was a little bit of connectivity problem on my side today morning. At the outset, I would like to compliment the NIDM to organize this program on orientation training program on Ccdr, jointly with the Policy Perspective Foundation. I, as the Vice President of the Policy Perspective Foundation, appreciate this initiative by the NIDM, particularly because in the recent years, there has been increasing intensity and frequency of disasters, as you are all aware. And the problem has been compounded by the phenomenon of climate change. So to that extent, the impact of disaster is becoming gradually more and more across the country, across the people, across the sectors. And along with that, the vulnerability of children also increased manifold. In fact, the vulnerability of children do increase considerably because they are young age, they are not able to fend for themselves. So this entails upon the states a heavy responsibility of their primary duty of protecting the children of their rights. So in this backdrop, this initiative of NIDM jointly with PPF to have this orientation program is very important. In fact, it is not only the need of the hour, but it is of prime importance. In fact, we generally try to ignore the fact that children are also an important stakeholders in every walk of life, because today's generation of children is different from the previous generations. And we also try to ignore that in any disaster, the children suffer during disaster and also more so post-disaster, as we have seen in the current pandemic, about which Raka had a detailed talk. Children are left with tremendous trauma and stress. Their education suffers, the hygiene. There are also cases of trafficking and abuse, etc. So the children suffer in many ways during disaster and post-disaster. Considering this, many countries in the world have gone far ahead in this aspect of child-centric disaster risk reduction to build the resilience among children. Israel, for example, every child above 18 years of age, they have given extensive training. Similarly, Singapore, every child has to undergo civil defense training, which makes them fully conversant how to deal with any disasters. But this is not so in India. So that's why there is a need to include children in the disaster risk reduction framework. Because as I mentioned, in the disaster risk reduction framework, children are not really made an important stakeholder. But we had Sendai framework of disaster risk reduction in Japan in 2015. And that also very clearly mentioned to include children in the disaster risk reduction framework. Needless to mention that investment on disaster risk reduction on children provides maximum dividend, because this investment is an investment for future. If you're training or if you're doing the capacity building of children in disaster risk reduction, it's a generational investment, and it indeed is the most fruitful investment for future of the country. So, needless to mention that I will give some examples how training children in the school has been very, very fruitful. I will give you two examples which I always quote. One is that of Thailand. You all recall 2004 tsunami, and on the sea coast of Thailand, there were huge tourists in the morning. They were enjoying their nice morning. And then what happens in tsunami is that the entire water recedes 1 or 2 kilometers inside the sea. So that phenomenon happened, and nobody has seen such sight, and there were a lot of fish on the shore. So people started rushing to catch fish and all. An 8-year girl from Canada, she started shouting, "Tsunami, you will die, run away, run away, run away," start telling people. And then people realized and they started running away. And by the time in the next few minutes, the tide came back, about 20 feet high tide. Everybody has run away because of this girl's alertness. And when asked, this girl said that when I was in school, I was taught this phenomenon of tsunami, how the water recedes. Had this girl not done that, thousands of people would have died. So this is the advantage of training a child. This is what I have said of Thailand, but I'll give you another example of our country. You all remember, maybe remembering 2015 Nepal earthquake. A family from Bihar, they were working in Kathmandu. The father was a shopkeeper, and around 12 o'clock when the earthquake came in Nepal, the mother had gone to shopping, and the son and daughter, a 5-6-year-old daughter, son, and 7-8-year-old daughter. The daughter and son, they were inside the house, and the earthquake came. After the earthquake was over, when the mother ran and the father came, they found that the house had totally collapsed. and they were heartbroken. But after that, when the responders started digging, they could recover the two boys, the boy and girl, because what had happened was that when the earthquake happened, the girl told the younger brother that let us go and hide inside a table. And they went inside a table. So the house collapsed, but then they were inside the table and they were saved. And the girl, she was from Purnia in Bihar, and she said that she had studied in school. She was taught in the school. If there's an earthquake, take a shelter either under a hard bed, chalky, or table, and that's how she was saved. So these are a couple of examples I have given how the knowledge sharing, capacity building with the children can be immensely useful, and you are training a generation. So to that extent, I will say that also the advantage is that today children have a very high level of receptivity. They have willingness to learn. They have willingness to adapt. So if from the state government side, from the administration side, there is a required capacity building, training, education of the children about disaster. As I mentioned, it is a generational investment. You are trying to save the future. So to that extent, I would say that this program of child-centric disaster risk reduction is very important. And the knowledge that is shared from here, whether it is relating to corona or earthquake or anything else, you people must pass on this information to as many people, as many children as possible. Children must be given adequate education, training, capacity building. But more than that, the dimension of CCDRR is not limited to this only. Now, almost every child goes to their school, and the school is the training ground from them. So schools have to adapt this. And for adaptation, I would like to tell all of you that is what is very important is that every school must prepare a disaster management plan. Many of the schools are doing it. There are many models, good models to be emulated. So if there is disaster management plan, otherwise the principal or headmaster or teacher, they don't know what is to be done. So a good disaster management plan is a must for every school, and also a school safety program. Every school must have a school safety program for which there must be mock drills. If earthquake happens, how do you rescue or run away? I remember when Raka was with the NODA Disaster Development Authority, he organized earthquakes drill almost every school in Noida. And on one final day, there was a simultaneous mock drill of earthquake in every school of Noida, a large number of schools. It was a very successful exercise. Almost every student knew how to safeguard themselves during earthquake. And that, what Raka had done in Noida, finds mention in the Guinness Books of Record. So that is very important. The disaster management plan, school safety plan, and every child must be provided adequate knowledge of first aid in their school. That is very, very important. That can be very useful in any calamity situation. So these are basically, because of time constraint, I want to be very brief, but I wanted to highlight the importance of the CCDRR training, which NIDM is doing in association with the PPF. And I'm sure the 3-day program will be very, very useful to you. And you will be wiser. The knowledge that is being shared with you, you will share with others so that the purpose of this program is achieved. Thank you very much. And thanks once again to the NIDM.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your illuminating words and highlighting the cause of concern with great examples and highlighting the importance and need for the CCDRR training program with such clarity and precision. It is always a treat to listen to your valuable views, and I'm sure that the participants have also it has added value to the participants and also motivated them to attend the session scheduled for the rest 2 days. So at present, we do not have any questions in the question answer box. So with the permission of the team, I would like to sum up today's session. So I would also, Dr. Raka, would you want to?
Your Monica, we can just sum up the session today's because
Yes,
we are
right.
10 minutes
We're already
in
running
the
behind
third
time.
part.
So
So
it was
tomorrow we will be conducting.
right. So it was a bumpy ride today. We did face some technical difficulties while joining in, but we gained momentum, and that momentum would be retained tomorrow and day after. So I would request our participants to join us tomorrow. So we had a very good session today by Dr. Raka. He has entertained and talked about a very important subject of concern, the need of the hour, and especially when we have a new variant of COVID-19, Omicron, which is known to spread 5 times faster than the previous variants. So there's no scope of laxity and casual behavior now, and it is high time that we all switch to the conscious and cautious mode of daily conduct. So I hope that we not only absorb the necessary information, but also share it with other people for a larger purpose of educating others about the same. So I would like to now sum up the today's session and would like to also thank our speaker for equipping us on the subject, sharing valuable views, and all our panelists and participants for joining us. I would like to remind the participants to join us tomorrow at the same time, that is 11 a.m. for the program. Meanwhile, if someone has not still registered, you may kindly do so and reach out to us on policyperspective@gmail.com if any of your queries has still remained unanswered. The ID is mentioned in the chat box. And gentle reminder that the registration is necessary in order to obtain a successful participation certificate. Look forward to connecting with you all tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Also, I would like to take opportunity of thanking KM Singh sir for providing us his valuable time
Thank you, sir.
on behalf of Ccdr and IDM. And sir, also I would like to request you kindly give us a few minutes during the valedictory session of the program as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.